Love it when the bass drop.
That shit boom.
Hello and what is up, everybody? I'm back here again, and I'm gonna give a little mix down tutorial and just how I go about mixing and whatnot. So before anything, I like to start with a master on anything I do, pretty much. That's personal preference. You can do it or you can do it or not do it, I mean. But that's just my personal preference. So for my master, I do a little bit of multi-band compression. I have a utility in case I want to turn it down. I do some saturation. My EQ8, I'm boosting up my mids a little bit and cutting down my sides, boosting those up a bit too in the low area. I have isotope ozone 6 with a little bit of excitement on there. It's a preset I made. A little bit of excitement, and that's how my EQ is set up. I have a glue compressor to kind of mold everything together, and then I have a FabFilter Pro L just to kind of limit everything and make sure it's not getting too crazy. So I have a previous video about drop arrangement. If you have not seen that, then I'll drop a thing for it right now. But this is the same drop from last time that we've arranged and that I've set up. So I'm not going to go through the arrangement, but I will play it dry, 100% with no mixing or anything.
Let's go.
Crank it.
Switch.
Let's get it.
So it's not very loud, right? So I have my master on now, and so this is what my levels look like for my audio themselves. So I like to keep my drums sitting on top, so I'm going to leave those about -2 decibels. And then I have these hits, which are going to be my bass hits. And they're at -6. And that's coming out a little bit low right now because nothing's mixed, nothing's loud or anything. And then I have my leads, which I'm going to duck down a little bit under my bass hits because I want my bass hits to be more prominent. So then I have those leads. Those are coming out at about -19. Then I got my vocals in here.
Let's go.
Crank it.
So I want those vocals as well. Besides the drums, in order of how I want my things arranged for like loudness, I could say, is I want my vocals to be a little bit louder than my hits and my leads because I want the vocals to come through, right? So then we got some effects, which is right here, which is, we just got some sweeps, some risers, right? And so that's going to be loud as well because you're going to want that to, you know, give that energy that you're sweeping up into a next part or whatnot. And then I got my 808s. So let's go ahead and actually turn off all my processing for those. So we got the master on.
Let's get it.
It sounds like there's a lot of high end and there's no mids or anything like that. So what I'm going to go through and do is pretty much everything's really quiet right now, which is how I like it. So then I can bring it up in loudness and have a more controlled dynamic of it compared to if I was to just, you know, make it loud to begin with or turn up this volume or whatnot. So we are not doing any processing to the actual track. Another thing for mixing for me, a huge part of it is finding sounds that already sound good together and sounds that are already clean, because I'm not wanting to throw in a dirty sample, work on it for 30 minutes and then forget what I was even doing. So always remember, sample selection is the hugest part to having a good song, to having a song that flows, to having good mixing off the bat. So sample selection is huge for me. So I've already gone through and I've made a lot of these. And I have done a little bit post processing, which was just, I think, a reverb filter, and I cut off a little bit of the lows on it. It was just a bass that I had made. So you know, it's a little bit, it's quiet, right? It's coming out -20. I don't want that. So I don't hear a lot of lows in it. If there is, I'm going to make sure to cut them off anyways. But let me go ahead and open up what we got going on processing wise. So when we open this up, I have a bunch of Ableton racks I've already made, but I'll explain them a little bit. First of all, this little guy hiding over here, this is my sidechain compression. So I'm going to put that before everything, you know, all my processing. So the sidechain's still nice and beefy, but I'm getting that loudness after, you know, even though it's being ducked by the kick, I'm still getting that loudness out of it. So we'll just go ahead and we'll ignore that sidechain. It's probably going to be on everything you see. So in this bass group we got right here, we have an amp. It's not being used. We have some nice saturation going on. So this is a preset I made, but I believe it's, you know, it's just a medium curve. We're ducking out the drive a little bit, you know, leaving the frequency the same. This is all stock how it comes, leaving all that the same. We're just warming it up, you know, giving it that warmth that it needs. We're doing a little bit of an OTT. Oh, barely anything, 6%. So it's probably just, you know, giving it the littlest bit of crispness and whatnot. After the OTT, we're going to multiband compress it just a little bit. It's about 30% for multiband compression. This is a Ableton glue compressor preset. So we have, where is it? Punch and parallel, right? It's probably the same thing. Yeah, haven't even changed it. Then I glue compressed it again, which sounds silly, but let me explain why I will always put 3 glue compressions, but why I'll always put this last glue compression after everything, because this is my master glue compressor. So this is the one that's making everything loud and squishing it together, right? So I'm always going to put that at the end of my chain because it's going to hold everything together, but it's also going to make it super loud. So we got some more glue compression. This sidechain's on, but it's not doing anything. So let's go ahead and get rid of this, actually. It's just in my rack. And then we have isotope trash, which we have the add muscle feature, or the preset, just a little bit. Another way you could do this if you don't have trash is, I would say, saturate it again. Or, you know, give it a little bit of distortion and maybe crank up one of these glue compressors and saturate it a little bit more. So this is for my hits, right? These are my bass hits. So now that we've done all of that, let's see how loud it is with all of that on.
Let's go.
Nothing else is as loud as it now, so everything else sounds bad. So we've gone to our lead now that we've got, which is right here. Again, post-processing I've done on this is a reverb filter, some simple EQing for the highs and the lows, and I believe I just panned it left to right a little bit on each individual hit, so it's not so dead center. So for our processing here, we got the same thing pretty much. We got the bass group that we have, which is our saturator, our OTT, our multiband, our punch and parallel, our glue compressor from our master, and then we got one more glue compressor because why not, right? You know, you might as well. So we got this, and then we have this, I linked it in my last video, I'll link it again, it's in my Dropbox, but we have bass clef easy washout, which I don't think you can find it really online anymore. I got this a long time ago. If not, then it's going to take some searching. So I'll just link it again. But I do not own this. This is not mine. Just want to put that out there. And what this is going to do is this is pretty much a one filter knob for space and for reverb and for everything of the sorts. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down because it's going to be really loud. But we have all our processing on, right? Then we got, again, our sidechain before all of it, right? So this bass clef is only activated during right here at the end. So what it's gonna do is I have one of these hits I've taken and I've just reversed it and did a little bit of a fade to it within the actual fades, and it's swept it up a bit. So it's gonna give you this effect. So it's really cool for ending things, creating pads, just giving space. I use it in every single track, if not on multiple groups or channels or whatnot. So pretty much the same processing though as your hits, right? Not a lot of EQ going on because, it sounds good as it's coming out. I like the lows that it's giving and I like the highs that it's giving. I don't really have an issue with it. If you do, cut out the lows a little bit, or cut out the highs, but don't think that you have to completely equalize the whole. You have to shape the shit out of a sound for it to sound good, because if you're doing that, then I personally think you're not doing it right. But we got our vocals right here next. So we got the hits, we got the lead, our bass hits and our lead. Let me go over the drums too, actually. So we have no processing going on our actual drums, but on our group we have my little drum processing, whatever, Ableton Live Rack, which is it's just a simple glue compressor. We're bringing the threshold down a little bit, leaving our attack at -3, our release at I think -6, or in our ratio at 4, and then we're doing a soft sine saturator because we don't a medium curve will change the sound and almost act like an amplifier in some instances. So we've bumped up the drive a little bit. Haven't messed with any of this, again, haven't changed the dry and the wet. So this simple little thing beefs up your drums like crazy. So I actually hear a little bit of kick confliction, so kick's clipping a bit. Go ahead and consolidate this real quick. We're gonna go ahead and put it in transient. Oops, sorry. Some CPU loss right there. But so our vocals, again, sorry, I got off track a little bit, I apologize. Our vocals, we're gonna leave, none of them have processing on it. We want the low end, we want the high end in it. But on our group, we're gonna low pass it just a little bit, just to 200 to kind of get those, lows that you don't want. We are doing the glue compressor again off of our master channel, so that loud glue compressor to kind of hold everything together. And then we're doing our sidechain compression. This one is after. And why it's after is because this is louder, like I said before. This is going to be louder than our hit and our leads, or bass hits, or whatever actual music is going on, because the vocals tend to be a lead too. Vocals are usually a lead, right? So we're doing the sidechain after it, so that way our hits and our leads are still coming out nice and loud after the kick's hitting, but the vocals are ducked down just a little bit to kind of fit in. So now we have our FX, or our effects, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call them, and we have no processing done at all within the actual channels. I'm actually going to go ahead, just for the sake of everything, I'm going to go ahead and, just low pass it to 200. Just so we could get any, rumbly lows that are in there out of there. So far, everything should be a lot louder and a lot better besides our sub, right? So let's go ahead and play it.
Let's go!
Cricket!
And it hurts your head because there is no sub, there's no bass, there's no low end at all. So we got our sub in here, and our sub is one of the few things that I'm actually, changing anything to. So I have a sub EQ, and I'm taking out the lows right here, and then I'm kind of, just keeping an even curve, boosting up my low end, but I'm also cutting it off. So if we go ahead and we take this off, our low end is going to be a little bit flatter, and this is just kind of boosting it up. Defacer, this is a free plugin. I will give a link in the description for this, but this is a free plugin by Audio Assault, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a defacer, if you know what that is, which is a type of distortion, and I just love the fuck out of this for everything. So go ahead and slap that on there and gave it a little bit of distortion. I have a shitty MacBook, so I gotta freeze this or else nothing's gonna work. So then here's a little trick also that I have actually stolen from somebody, and I cannot say who, but I learned it from a live set I had picked up a while ago. But so we have our sidechain here for a sub, right? And one of them's actually being sidechained to the kick, and then the other is just an active compressor with, I think, the stock settings. If not, we got 50 milliseconds of release. We have 2 milliseconds of attack, and we're at a ratio of 2-to-1. So we're bringing down the threshold a little bit because we want it to kind of, suck the sub down a little bit and not be so super overpowering. But what we're doing is we have the makeup on, and we also have a little bit of out, we're cranking up the decibel a little bit for our out signal. And so what this is going to do is it's going to match the volume pretty much. It's going to act like a limiter. It's going to smash it, and it's going to make our sub nice and beefy. So then what we've gone ahead and done is we have, of course, taken that glue compressor from our master rack. We put it on there. We've brought down the sub a little bit in the group because otherwise it'll be way too loud, and then we get this beautiful sub. So pretty minor mixing. And at the end of it, after you arrange everything, you got your sounds, which I'm also next tutorial is going to be sound design on how I got all the sounds in this track. So, everything was all nice and loud, right? Let's give it a listen without the master.
Let's go!
Cricket!
And you might be thinking, oh my god, you're not -6 on your master. And if I turn off my drums...
Let's go!
Cricket!
About there. So the sub and the kick are going to be the most heaviest components of the track, so they should be pretty loud. That's what I think. But now we have what it sounds like with a master.
Let's go!
Cricket!
Switch.
Sorry, got too high CPU. But, that's the gist of it. Try to have your sample selection be as dank as possible and you won't really have to do much EQing in general. And really try to focus on making your own audio racks, so you don't have to do processing when it does come down to it. You could hopefully just throw something in, tweak it a little bit, and keep going with your song. So I hope this helped you guys out, and go ahead and check the links down below in the description for all the stuff and goodies and whatnot, and links that should be down there. And yeah, I hope this helped you guys out.
That shit boom.